Hi, this is Patty Stapler, and I want to welcome you back to part 2 of the Revenue Revolution. If you didn't watch part 1, you probably want to go back and pick up the information first before you continue on. But today what I want to talk about are the 3 income strategies that we have. And strategy number 1 is probably the worst strategy that we could use, and yet it's used by 95% of the population. It's the most ineffective way to become wealthy, and yet it's used by a lot of people. Maybe that's why there's not a lot of wealthy people around. How's that? And the reason is because we trade our time for money, and we only have so much time. And once that time's, gone, we can't keep earning money. So that's why it becomes the worst strategy. Now, let me tell you a little bit about myself. You see, before I started the Revenue Revolution and started the awareness of what I have now, I was like that 95% of the people. I too was living with the income strategy 1. Thought I had a comfortable living. It certainly was not wealthy, but I was comfortable, I was secure. And, I even for a while had a second job. And I thought that second job would be for all the fun things that, I wanted to do. And yet as I started having children, that money started being used for the necessities too. So there I was. I had a job, my husband had a job, I had a second job, and it was like we kept running out of time. And I remember the first time I heard my mentor and later coach, Bob Proctor, say to me, the first thing you need to do is to turn your annual income into your monthly income. I thought he was just nuts. I thought there is absolutely no way on earth I could ever turn my annual income into monthly income, because the head of the organization I worked for didn't even make that much money. So how on earth could I? You see, my thinking was so set and so stuck, as we were talking in the last video, the mindset, and it was my paradigms were so set in our ways that I couldn't even think outside of the box that there could possibly be another way. And yet now what do? I help businesses and individuals to double and triple their income every year and increase their productivity. And for some of these businesses, that getting to that annual income being back to a monthly income is becoming a reality, not this craziest thing in the world. So the first thing you need to know is where you are and where you want to be. And you have to, really make an honest assessment of where you are. Be really brutally honest with yourself. And, how much money do you have to make? What kind of relationships do you have? What kind of health do you have to get to where you want to be? Now, some people are what we call unconscious competence. And an unconscious competent is somebody who kind of accidentally stumbles upon the methods I'm going to be sharing with you. And as they stumble upon them, they're not able to reproduce it every time because they don't even know what they did. And so they can't really teach somebody else, and they can't really tell somebody else what they did because they don't really know. They can tell you, oh, this happened and that happened, this happened, that, but they don't really understand the process that they use to become really successful in that particular area, in that particular time. But if you stick with me and you listen and you follow the teachings of the Revenue Revolution, you too will find that financial freedom could be on your next exit. So I want you to consider this. It's not really possible in today's world to live without having money, because it takes money, to pay for your cell phone, to pay for your health, to pay for your house, cars. We have to have these things to live the life that we are in this world. So we have to have money. So it's a matter of going from that fixed mindset like I had to this growth mindset. So what we have to do is to make this paradigm shift. We have to be able to change our thinking, to disrupt the thinking that we have and change it, to challenge ourselves, excuse me, to evolve, to rethink what we're doing. And it might just take technology and some other methods to help us to move forward. So strategy number 2, using money to make money. Now, this strategy is better than strategy number one. Excuse me, as far as being more effective, it does work. And it's used by some degree by a lot of people. People have 401ks. This is what you're doing. You're using money to make money. And so it does work. And the biggest drawback is to do it quickly and to do it really effectively. You first need to have a lot of money to invest. And so most people don't have that lot of money to begin with to invest. And so that's kind of downfall of this one. You also have that downfall of this, if the stock market crashes like it did a few years ago, people lose a lot of money. So strategy number 3, which has actually been around for thousands of years, is to develop multiple sources of income. However, even though it's been around for thousands of years, it's only used by about 3% of the population, yet they earn 96% of the money. And people get angry because they earn so much money. And yet they're doing something that all of us have the ability to do. This is the best way to become wealthy. You can be very comfortable using income strategies 1 and 2. No doubt about it, if you have a high-paying job or occupation, you can use 1 and 2 very effectively. But for the average person, developing multiple sources of income is the best way to become wealthy. And it's what every wealthy person does. So we have to figure out, okay, well, how much money do we need to live the lifestyle that we want to live? How much money do you need to have the retirement income you want? How much money do you need to have that, money there in case, something happens in your life? Those are things we need to consider. So you start with looking at, well, how much do I earn a year? In the best year I've ever had, how much did I earn? And what's my job mentality? Do you think like I did, that I was so stuck in my thinking that I couldn't even begin to imagine turning my annual income into monthly income? Or are you, thinking more outside the box and what the possibilities are that you can do? Do you end up with 2 jobs? Do you end up with multiple sources? Sometimes people can say, well, multiple sources seems like multiple jobs. It's not really multiple jobs. For a while, it may seem like that, but you need to look at sources that can start to move for themselves. It does require that out-of-the-box thinking. So to start the revenue revolution, you have to have a clear, concise goal, crystallize, just so detailed with information so that you can plant it into your subconscious mind and engrave it there. And then you have to be able to focus on it. You see, in today's world, we're so distracted by every little, noise that is going off all around us, and it's very difficult for us to focus. We have to learn how to keep all that away from us so we can focus on what we really want. And then we have to take action. If any of you watch the movie The Secret talks about how you think and eventually you get what you want. But the thing they forgot in that movie was that it takes action. Just thinking alone is never going to bring you what you want. You must step out and take action. And then you have to have courage. You see, oftentimes people don't have the courage, and they'll listen to people who are where they don't want to be. You need to find people that are where you want to be and with the thinking that you need to have, instead of listening to people who think that they're doing your best interests, but they're really not. If they don't know how to develop your thinking and to develop your mind to a way that you can start your own revenue revolution, they're not the persons you need to listen to, and you have to be willing to have the courage to step away from them. It takes knowledge. You have to study the information. You have to study yourself. You have to study who you are and where you want to go. And you have to be willing to invest in yourself. Because if you're not willing to invest yourself and to be coachable and to listen to people who can help you, then you're not going to be able to make the moves that you need to make. And that's going to take effort. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. This will absolutely take you some effort. It may seem like a lot of work at first or at times, but to to get to where you want to be, it's going to take work. Common problem that I see is most people do not have a precise goal or a clear vision. Many times they know what they don't want, they just don't know what they do want. And so therefore, if they don't know what they want, it's hard to move forward to what they do want. So instead, what people do is they start spending time thinking of ways to save instead of ways to earn more. What can we cut? What can we save on over here? What coupons could we use? And things like that. And so we're looking at saving and we're looking at lack instead of ways to find abundance. Spend time on what to cut back. Eventually you run out of things to cut and still live the lifestyle you want, or you're sacrificing a life. Sometimes we spend time thinking of limitations instead of possibilities. If you didn't think it was impossible, what could you do? Always ask yourself that. Whenever you have a limiting belief, that's, thinking of it impossible. So if you didn't have the limiting belief, if you didn't think it was impossible, then what would you do? Living frugally, and when you do that, you tend to miss out on opportunities that are around you all the time. So we need to learn to focus on more instead of focusing on lesser limitations. So we all have 24 hours in a day. I want you to think, until you get part 3, how do you spend your 24 hours? And I'll see you in the next video.